Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show. My apologies for our little bit of lateness. Yeah, I'm a little bit behind schedule, and Lewis has decided to eat some food rather than come and join us. But he will be here shortly, and when he does come, we can tell him what for when he does come. But yeah, he said he'll be here like literally 10 past. He's just texted me now. I'll be here at 10 past. So look forward to him coming in. But of course, we've got Mr. James, Mr. JTLive. How are you doing, brother? All things well?
Not too bad, not too bad. Very busy at the moment, like with you. Trying to clear my head from Leeds at the moment, to be honest, with everything that's been going on. But otherwise, pretty good. What about yourself?
Yeah, good, mate. Tired. I'm tired, mate. I can't lie. Like normally, I do a preview after the press conference, but I've just been so busy of late. I've not been able to do that, so we're going to do that today. We're going to have a chat about some more in depth on Aston Villa, what's come out, the main talking points from the press conference, and we'll go through that. But yeah, other than that, I'm all right, mate. I'm just tired. Big shout out to everyone that's watching and been
Just
waiting.
some caffeine down you, my son.
Yes, I know.
Got a coffee on the side?
Yeah. I just had a cup of tea, man. I just had a cup of tea.
Cup of tea ain't got this. I don't get. Everyone's like, oh, it's got so much caffeine, it keeps you awake. Cup of tea has got the tiniest bit of caffeine in. Does nothing, man.
No, I agree with you, mate. But that's what I mean. It's after a certain time where I'm like, once I've finished this, I need to do some reading. I've got to read chapter 4 of a book, do some writing on it ahead of uni tomorrow. So, and then I'm going to sleep. Do you know what I mean? If I have caffeine, I'll be up. I'll be still like this. So, just a cup of tea, something warm, something moist, Yeah, I've got to have something. Yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this, bro. Do you know what I mean?
Neither do I. So, I mean, I guess there really is only one place to start, and that is the Leicester game. Yeah. Well, I mean, what are your thoughts on Marsh's first performance so far?
Good, mate. I was enthused by the performance. There was a lot of positives, a lot to look forward to, I guess. But ultimately, we're at the stage of the season where performances mean nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that might sound a little bit like, oh, come on, Joe. But ultimately, it's points win prizes. Like, I think as well, I think this week, especially this week, or even just leading up to the next international break, which is at the end of the March, we have to get wins on the board.
End of the March, if you will.
Yeah, end of the March, yeah. We have to get wins on the board, and it needs to start tomorrow, really. It's do or die time for me now, because if we come, at the end of this week, let's say we get back together next Wednesday, and we've not picked up any points from Villa and Norwich, then know that we're done, man. Like,
oh, yeah.
I know you never say never, but
paddle.
Yeah, it's bad, isn't it? It's bad,
I mean, it was a typical Bielsa-ish performance in a way, wasn't it? Where we just battered them pillar to post for a lot of the game. I mean, the XG, like 2.02 to 0.35. We had them pin back so many opportunities and, again, pissed them up a toilet wall. They come forward on one counter-attack and we're wraps. I mean, we've seen it for, like, the past 4 years. The difference is, though, there were some good things. I don't know if you noticed it, but the like overlapping runs outside and then the cutback was there so many times. I mean, Firpo even got a great one himself. He got a great opportunity with the cutback. But I don't know what it is, man. I don't know. In front of goal, we just got no clinicality. We're about as sharp as a butter knife trying to cut through a rigorous rump steak. There's just no incision there. Do you think we can change it around? What do you think needs to change for Villa?
I guess this is the perfect place for us to start, mate, when we consider Villa tomorrow and the fact or the major talking points from the press conference. I don't know if you've seen, but Jesse Marsh said that Patrick Bamford will feature tomorrow. He didn't allude to how many minutes or when, but he will feature at some point off the bench. So not quite ready to start, but he's going to feature. And, we've seen just how important he was in the last game that he played when he came on against Brentford. And was it against Brentford? I think when he got
it was against Brentford, scored the equaliser and then injured himself in celebration.
Exactly. But I think the fact that he will feature now, because that if he comes on and let's say he plays 45 minutes, then you know come Norwich he's starting that game. So he's very, very close. So I think maybe is Bamford the answer?
Yeah, but what do you do then? Do you leave Joffrey off completely? Do you start Gelhard? Do you bring him off? Because this is something actually that a lot of people aren't going to say. A lot of people will be there, and not to jump on the Tyler Roberts thing or whatever, or Dan James, but everyone's gassing up Gelhard like he can do no wrong. But what, when he came on, did he actually realistically offer that Tyler Roberts didn't when he came on the week before? Or Dan James when he wasn't having a good performance? What did Gelhard actually do that game that would warrant him to start over a Bamford or a James?
People aren't ready for that discussion, bro. People aren't ready for that discussion. But I hear you, mate, 100%.
I'm playing devil's advocate. Look,
No,
I love the kid.
Yeah.
I love the guy.
Yeah.
But
no, I hear you, mate. I think it's a great point to make. I do want him to start, but I do think there is a massive what's the word I'm looking for? But there's such a clamoring for him to play regularly, start games when and look, when we have seen him, he has impacted a lot of games, but yeah, I don't think it was the right time for him, or maybe it was. He just didn't have an impact on the game.
well, then do you start him? I mean, to be fair to him coming on did coincide with Leicester basically dominating the last 20, 30 minutes of the game. So he didn't have a good patch of play. But if Bamford is going to feature, do you leave Gelhard out completely, or do you start him, bring Bamford on, maybe play the two up front, like we had James and Gelhard there together?
Yeah. I think for me, like I have done a lineup. And we'll get it closer to them. But Joffrey does start for me. Joffrey would start for me now. I think I like James. I do, but I don't know. Or is it even Rodrigo drops out? This is the mad thing as well, and another thing that comes out about with Jesse Marsh. He does like to rotate his squad. He does like players to play. We're not going to see the same 11 week in, week out like we did for a period of time under Bielsa. It's something that's not going to happen. He might have a few key personnel that'll play all the time, but I think he will rotate it up, and he said as much. So we might even see a different front two. Tomorrow night you might see, Joffrey and Rodrigo. You might see Joffrey and James. You might see Rodrigo and James the same. I just don't know, but I just want in an ideal scenario is Bamford starting games, mate. I think.
But what Bamford's going to return? First of all, can I say the chat? All right, I need to calm down. I'm seeing some mad stuff in the chat there. All right, mad profanity. But as for Bamford, what Bamford's going to come back? Because he's every time he was primed to come back, he kept re-injuring himself in training, re-injuring himself. And when you pick up that many injuries, especially in a short period of time like that, is he going to be back firing on all cylinders? Was that 30 minutes against Brentford papering over the cracks? Because, yeah, he scored the goal, but what else did we really see from him to show that he's got the energy to go up against a high-flying Villa side? Well, I say high-flying is in a high-energy, high-octane Villa side. Steven Gerrard's got them playing some pressing stuff. What do we have to show that he can perform against them?
It's a big question, but listen, I think for me, just I have to go on Bamford of last season, just knowing how many goals he's got. He's missed a hell of a lot of games, and I'd go as far as to say that if he'd have been fit and in this team, we'd be nowhere near where we were. I don't think. And Villa, he got a hat-trick against Villa. I think the last time, obviously, we played against Villa. That was at Villa Park. But he's got a good record against them. They don't like him. He doesn't like them. There's a little bit of that about it as well. So I think it's the perfect scenario for him to come into.
I think we're also yet to see what he can do. Because when obviously his first year back in the Premier League, scoring 17 goals, that was with no fans there. And he's someone, I mean, people may not think it about him because they think he's a bit of a posh guy with a silver spoon up his ass, whatever they call him. But he is a bit of a shithouse. Let's be real here. He likes riling up the crowd. He feeds off the energy of it, of away and home support. And we're yet to really see how he could do that against a Villa side or like a packed out Villa crowd. I'm intrigued to see how he would perform against them. Do you think it would get to his head? Do you think the fans could like interfere with his performances, or do you think that he will rise to the level?
Fine. It'll be totally fine. It'll be totally fine, man. We've played against obviously Villa in the I'll never forget actually in the Championship game where we gifted them the goal.
What a disgrace. Wasn't he? It wasn't he. I mean, he came off injured. It wasn't a foul, man. Nowhere near a foul.
I know it was a bit of a mad situation, weren't it? But I think he'll be totally fine. I fully expect Bamford to come back in and do bits, mate. If I'm honest, and you know, the quicker we get him back in, the better. For sure. Anyway,
for sure. Who, in fact, didn't start last week, coming off the bench. Bit of a questionable one, especially with Phillips coming back. How is that midfield going to work in there? Because we've seen Koch like filling in there, and Koch can fill a few holes, but he's not actually, and no pun intended, he's not actually he's not actually natural in that position. I think he lacks a radar. He lacks like knowing what's going on around him at all times. So do you think you would go for a 2-man Phillips and Forshaw in there, or is that too defensive?
For tomorrow night?
No, tomorrow Phillips ain't going to be starting. But...
No. I don't know, mate. I don't know how it's going to look. Let me just bring in Lewis.
Hey up.
Was he in here?
Hey up.
He's finally finished his food, eh?
What time do you call this, mate?
I called it another 7:20.
Okay, so
what time,
actually 18.
What time do we start?
7. What time have you got?
Well, that's incorrect. Actually, we actually started at 7:06.
Whilst waiting, what did you have for your tea? What time did you have for your tea?
I may or may not have had
Domino's, mate. It's not good for you.
What did I tell you last week, mate? Your body's your temple. But you got a Domino's last week. You got Domino's this week.
I got a pizza last week, actually.
Yeah, it was pizza.
Yeah, Domino's is a Pizza Hut. Oh,
yeah, man. Anyway, we're not here to talk about pizza. We're here to talk about how we were robbed.
Yeah. Well, you know what I ate 3 points, and it's digesting, ready for tomorrow.
Tell me how we were robbed. Mate.
Nah, rob's a strong word. We were.
Do you think that was a penalty?
Do you know what? At the time, because I was live at the time, because thought why not? And I was saying to my mate, I was like, I've seen them given, like it was soft, but it's contact, you know, studs up, but it would have been soft if it were given. But when they were playing it back, I was like, that's clear contact there.
I don't think it was
clear, straight contact. But I've seen them if it had been given, I'd have been like, yeah, I've seen them given. But
and I know a lot's been made about the Rudiger one. But at the time, I thought the Rudiger one was a pen, and I know it was really, really soft, really soft. But I was in Paris at the time, and I remember saying in the back, "Why has he done that?" Whereas I didn't feel the same with the Rodrigo one at the weekend. I don't know. I get it.
Nah, it wasn't. It was softer than a bowl of porridge, like you say. The Rudiger one, actually, I think was more of a pen. I think that was just stupidness from Klitsch.
It's one of those. I'm saying, like, if it had been given afterwards, I wouldn't have been like, "Oh, we've still that. Like, that's not a pen." Like, I'd have been like, "There's contact," but it's also one of them. Like, it's not given. I'm not going to be on Twitter outraging. Like, I didn't even tweet about it at all.
Yeah,
you're the first.
Which is a first for you, isn't it?
Yeah, you're the first person who's actually asked me about it, and it's just like, well. It's not one of those that I'm going to be ranting and raving about us not getting like after the game. The only thing I was ranting and raving about is the fact that I honestly, genuinely believe we should have put 3 or 4 past him.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that until you just said it. That's how little I thought of the penalty.
Same. And I was quite surprised at some of the outrage on Twitter. 'Cause I was like, come on,
Yeah, but
really?
a Twitter outrage is synonymous, isn't it?
Yeah, true. There's something going on now about wheels and doors, and I still was like, what?
Wheels and doors? What?
Oh, do you not understand it?
Oh, what? More wheels in the world than
Someone
doors?
asked if there's more wheels than doors in the world.
Yeah, why though? Why is it getting? Like, why are we bothered about that? Really? Like, it's just I don't know.
Yeah, we need to be wheeling, dealing some 3
I've got roped into that today.
Yeah, I can imagine you have, Lewis. You're straight up all over it. You'll be doing a vlog on it. Wheels video.
Hey, get the views at the time. You jump on the bandwagon.
You in a fun little like that with some wheels.
Scientific reason why there's more doors.
Yes, exactly. As long as
that's why he was late to the video. He was out on his road collecting them.
Our researching.
Yeah, I love that. Anyway, we were chatting about the press conference, bro, and the big call outs. I've made a few notes as per, but the big one, obviously, Patrick Bamford, will be used at some point tomorrow. How do you want that to go about, Lewis? Do you want it, 45 minutes? How do you expect it to play out? And are you buzzing that he's going to be back?
I am, but I found it really weird how he went about saying it. He said, well, the quote I've seen, because I've not actually watched it, I just saw the quotes from YEP and stuff.
Yeah.
And the quote that I've seen is, he will play. He won't start, but he will play. Yeah, so right. I take that as, so you have pre-planned a substitution, maybe not specified what minute, because obviously the game will dictate that, but 100%, and you have said you are going to bring Bamford on. I find that odd. Now, I know Bielsa came out and just announced his lineups before, like days before every game, on the day before, but that's different. Managers more or less know the lineup final training session, but pre-planning substitutions I just find odd, purely because games dictate who should not come on. Now, if you have, it might not even come on, but if you're going to come out and say he will play, whether that's mind games, whether that's fan service, I don't know, but I don't know. I just found it a bit like, and then there was something else that he was asked about Coutinho, and he said, something like, we're planning to like close down and like have 2-3 players on him or something like that. And I just thought, like, again, I don't know if it's mind games, but yeah.
Are you starting that? Are you starting the band?
No, of course not. But I just found it odd. I don't. The videos I've watched and stuff, which obviously not that reliable, said he's not really a mind game person. He just says things and how they are, and he says what he's going to do.
That could be a double bluff. Could be double mind games.
Yeah. So so I was going to ask you about that as well. So I think it was maybe a positive hearing Jesse Marsh saying that he's got sort of a tactical plan for
positive for us to hear
keeping Coutinho, quiet, because I feel, and I don't know how you feel about this, lads, that Bielsa, it didn't matter who was on the pitch, it was our way or no way. Whereas having a tactical plan for someone that is elite, like Coutinho, for me, can only be positive.
Yeah, but that quote you said there about being tight to him and being close to him, that was the whole problem last time we played them. We were too tight to him. Ayling got so close to him that he was just getting spun with the Cruyff turn every time. Spun with the Cruyff turn straight in behind, flicked it through. There was no one standing off him. With a player like that, sometimes, like even Kieran Trippier was saying, I was watching a podcast of him the other day. He's like, how do you deal with it with a dribbler like St. Maximin in training? He's like, just stand off him. I just stand off him. It's the only way. When you've got someone that's that agile, that's that sharp, especially in the brain, like Coutinho, you have to give them a bit of space. If you try and stay close to them, unless if you have 2 or 3 men, which he did say, then it's wraps. But then if you commit too many men, then there's so much space open for other players. So that's the problem with having a tactical plan to nullify one player. It can open up space for others.
Yeah, it goes. Yeah.
I'd argue that what happened at Villa Park, say we're tight on Coutinho again, which it seems we're going to be unless he is double bluffing or whatever, that we won't be as easily counterable. Like, this space won't be there. You saw it at Leicester the other day. I was constantly saying, there's no gaps, there's no space. Like, where are they? They were constantly just tapping the ball around the edge of the box and having to play back. Didn't see that 2 weeks ago. And I know you're playing against stronger sides. I know you're playing against sides who like to counter and stuff, like Son and Kane. Do you know what I mean? But
yeah, but everyone's talking about because Leeds United played well. Everyone's going, it's only Leicester. Okay, they've not had a good season, but they're a good side. Like, people, just because we played them, go, oh, yeah, they're rubbish anyway.
It does not matter. It does not matter that it was Leicester. I was watching that thinking, if we're playing Spurs here, it's the exact same situation.
Yeah, agreed.
There is no gaps. Where is Son running? Nowhere. Because literally, I was watching the setup and I'm like, we are so well set up here. Yeah. Time and time and time again, they're trying to play. Vardy's at the corner flag. Where are you going, pal? Back. All constantly, all game. And the one time they got through, Ailing and Dallas, nowhere to be. Like, you saw literally before the 1-2 was played, I'm like, lovely 1-2. And they scored from it. Took that one chance. And we'd had Rafinha practically open net. We'd had James first few minutes. We'd had Harrison. We'd had more chances. We'd had Strike from the corner. And it was so frustrating, man. Yeah. But, yeah, I just, with back to the Coutinho thing, if I'm not saying Gerrard's some, mad, like, tactical genius, but if you're seeing that, I know it's obviously only the day before. I
think you're reading too much into it. From what I've seen,
maybe, but
it says Marsh says we need to be aggressive in countering him. That just means. Like,
was that his actual quote? Because is that just been missing? Because I haven't watched it. I only
neither have I. But from what I see, it's there's a plan to deal with Coutinho. Wants Leeds to be aggressive in countering him. That doesn't mean necessarily that we're just going to absolutely steamroll him. It just means whatever plan we come up, it's going to be used aggressively.
I saw it say like when we're tight on him, which to me says we're not going to leave him alone. Like,
which you shouldn't, though. I don't think.
Obviously, of course not. But I'm saying if Gerrard sees that, whether it's the day before, or whatever, he may. Again, whether it's mind games and this is what Marsh wants to happen, or I'm just completely, like you say, exaggerating and it doesn't really mean much. If he sees that and thinks, right, I'm going to set up a little bit differently. Coutinho, I want you to go there, stand off, blah, blah, whatever. And that's couldn't make a key change in how the game flows. That's led from one comment. So I don't know. Of course, I could be exaggerating, and I'm not like digging him out for it. I'm not saying, here we go, blah blah blah. I'm just saying I found that, especially after the Bamford thing, I just saw two headlines. I've not watched the interview. It could be misquote, whatever.
So you're Jesse out, right?
Bielsa back. Where he's still in weather. He's still here. No.
But do you think that we lacked something? I was hearing some people say, if that was a Bielsa team against an open Leicester like that, then there's something, then we could have taken them to the cleaners. Definitely. Do you think that there's anything lacking in attack? Because it's new patterns of play. It is new patterns of play. We're using the width a bit more. And like I was saying, that cutback so many times is working with the fullbacks as well, coming into the center of the park to pick up the loose balls like with Firpo, or sometimes the winger like Harrison or James would cut back. It's new things for them to deal with, especially considering we just played Villa not too long ago, and they won't have much to go off. That's the advantage we have. They only have one game to go off. But back to before, if we are thinking about playing Bamford or Gelhardt, if Bamford is coming on, and we're messing around with the striker situation, who do you keep out wide, Harrison or James? Who impressed you more in that first game?
Harrison for me. I really liked Harrison, if I'm honest. I really, really liked Harrison, but this is the thing, and we were just speaking about it, Lewis, is obviously it's mad because when I was putting together a team earlier on, just in my mind, and I put it in my notes. I've realised that already certain players that were the archetypal, like Bielsa players and stood for everything that he was, I'm dropping them now out of my side, and I'm going, they need to move on already, right? Because Bielsa's made them into this thing, and I'm looking at my side, and I'm going, do you know what? Tomorrow night, Dallas isn't in my side. I'm looking at Elland at right back, and I'm going, we need a new right back. And I'm sorry to these guys because I love them and for everything that they've done. But straight away with Bielsa not being there anymore, it takes the shine off them for me. I think I was just in love with Bielsa and that whole squad and the legend status. And as soon as you've took Bielsa out of that scenario for me, I'm looking at that side and I'm going, right, who's my 11? And I'm going, right, get Elland out of centre-back. Llorente is said fit, so I'm putting Llorente in at centre-back alongside Strauch. For Elland at right-back, I need a new right-back. Nah, that's not for me. In the double pivot, I really liked Klick's performance. I would keep him in there. I would play him alongside Forshaw. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but I just think now
It's very harsh on Dallas.
Maybe, bro. Maybe.
Just before I reply to what James said before, if I answer that, it's one of those where it's before when we came up, you could argue that a lot of bias and a lot of sort of what's the word for sentimental?
Yeah, sentimentalism.
Sentimental. I don't know. We're going with it. It's not it's not added to the dictionary.
Mate, I've just used archetypal. Someone said you can tell he's been at uni.
Yeah, like if we were sentimental about Bielsa, Dallas, Klick, Elland, players like that, and now that the main man's gone, it sort of lifts that veil of right. Well, if even Bielsa's not safe, then no one's safe.
Yeah,
and it may now get to the point where we think, right, well, we've got a new man in at the top. We need to clean a bit of Deadwood out, and Deadwood's a very harsh word, but when you've got players like, again, sorry to dig him out like I did last week, but when you've got Klick, Elland again after the other day, Dallas after the other day, and it's not the first time Elland's been caught out this season, time and time and time against Scum. When we went 3-2 down, that railing, and it's just like, mate, I love Elland to pieces. I think he's a veteran, but just actually bringing that up in my head, when Elanga scores, it was the third Elanga scored, wasn't it? Or was it Fred? No, Fred
scored the third, and Elanga scored the fourth.
Eiling's on the line. Like, you watch that replay back, and he's anticipating the ball going in, so he runs to the line, not to the man where he should be in front of Fred in his position. He's running and I'm like, and it's not the first time this season. Other day, absolutely, like, he just stood there, him and Dallas, and it was easy 1-2. Dallas should have gone to his man, like, but you know. So I'm not to blow it on him, but yeah, now Bielsa's gone, it does sort of lift that.
Yeah,
Dallas can play everywhere though. Dallas is always going to be.
Yeah, but he was poor at right back. He was poor at right. He grew into it, but Harvey Barnes caused him all.
Yeah, but it's not his position. He's not right back. Not right back.
But yeah, so picking up on what you just said, James, jizz.
No, I've already seen enough of that in the chat. Let's not revive that, man.
Jizzy Drake.
About would we have essentially peppered him under Bielsa? Mate, I was watching it and we were playing the ball in the middle of the park and passing back and then middle of the park and then forwards, backwards, across, and I was like,
but that was our highest XG of the season.
I know. This is what I was thinking. Like, I sent my mate, who's also called Jesse. I'm like, man, this is just, I don't want to say boring.
Called Jesse?
Yeah.
Boring?
Yeah, my
no,
like,
that's harsh.
No,
that's harsh.
I didn't say it was boring. Yeah, he's like my best mate at 10 years, called Jesse. So he's obviously like, man, never been a Leeds manager called Lewis. And I was like, sure. So, yeah, playing through the middle of the park, and I was like, hey, I've been so used to watching us just dart forward and dart back for 4 years.
Yeah.
That I'm like, this is just like, I didn't use the word. I went, I don't want to use the word boring. But then on the flip side of that, I said straight after that, I said, look, but we have looked the most strong defensively, and we are actually still creating good chances. There weren't flashpoint like scruffy chances. It was that chance from James, that chance from Rafinha. Like it were just that's so much ready. Hold on.
Let me just pick up on this from Justin. Justin says XG don't mean no, Joe. It's said it before. It's about balls in the net. Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. Okay, stats can certainly cloud someone's judgment when it comes to the game. But when someone makes the point of saying, would we have peppered them more? Well, the XG is expected goals, and it's the highest of the season. So you could argue, yes, we weren't clinical, but we created the best chances in that game that we've done all season. So, you know, that's what that proved in that respect. Yeah. But you're right. Just like with everything, and I said this to James earlier on, at the end of the day, now performances for me need to go out of the window. I genuinely want to see, I would rather see, because we're at that stage of the season now, I would rather see us be absolutely woeful and win 1-0 to an own goal than play well and get beat. Because we're at the stage of the season now, and I hate to say it, where it's do or die time. We have to. If we do not get at least one win out of these two, right, we are seriously up shit creek. And you know how positive I am. But I even think Bielsa stole that from me. It's just him. It's what he did. Like, it's gone now, and I'm like, shit, man. I was speaking to my brother earlier on, and I said, yo, I'm starting to worry. I'm really starting to worry because we need to get wins. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. I just want to ask you this, guys, as well, because we were speaking about Forshaw, James, and in the press conference, Jesse Marsh alluded to the fact that Adam's fit. He's good to go. Adam Forshaw will play. And he actually said that Adam Forshaw on record had said to him, this is the best he's felt in weeks. He's absolutely ready. Do you think there's a little bit of, because the training methods have changed and all that sort of stuff, and obviously we're seeing players back sooner, do you reckon there's a little bit of that around the place? The fact that Forshaw's come out and said, or at least said to Jesse, this is the best I've felt in weeks.
I don't know. That could just be a new manager comes in and he wants to make sure he's getting the starting role. Because with injuries and anything like that, there's not actually a lot of concrete information to go on. It's just word of mouth on the player. It's like you ask the player, how do you feel? So a lot of the time they'll be like, yeah, I feel great. I'm good to go. Even though reality, they're really not. Especially when a new gaffer's coming in and he didn't start the first game, then he's probably like, Calvin Phillips is coming back. Maybe my place isn't guaranteed here. Don't know how he wants to play. I've got to make sure I'm fit. I don't think that the training change in such a short period of time would make him feel suddenly fantastic within a week. I don't think they were overtrained. I don't think that they were mentally overtrained, physically overtrained. I think that's a little bit of a myth. They're professional athletes at the end of the day. People don't give them credit for how fit they are, especially considering we're not in Europe playing 3 games in 6 days.
The injuries have had to come from somewhere, though. We have never had so many in a single season. There has to be a link.
No other team had. It's just
no other team was worked as hard as them.
Yeah, but it's also it was a COVID season that affected it.
I don't know. We were doing 3 sessions of murder ball a week. Like, I think, mate, look, I don't think there was in terms of the season, a Bielsa burnout. But I think in training, some players have reached the end of the tether. And I think that was just, mate, it was game after game, just injury after injury. They aren't in control of, it's nothing to do with the football. It's how hard their bodies must have been working. And I genuinely believe there's players in that camp who may be worse off without doing those sessions of murder ball, like Dallas and stuff, who could handle it, who were good with that fitness, who maybe that's what allows Dallas to basically play anywhere, play anywhere, because that's a massive side of it, being able to like be that fit. And now we won't be doing that, and maybe that will have an effect. But players like Bamford, who and Phillips, like, seem to have just been pushed to the limit in terms of being able to hack that 2-3 years. And look, Bielsa probably knew that, but he we're gonna die by his own sword always. We're never gonna change that philosophy. It's how he's worked his whole career. We're not gonna just change that, whether that was the right moral thing to do or not. And I respect him for that, even though we were losing player after player. But I just think it's just I disagree with you in the sense that you can't deny that there must have been some sort of link between the amount of injuries we've had this season and how hard they were being worked week after week.
But a lot of youth players as well who haven't played a lot of professional games that were getting injured. Is that
of course not? Because if you're going to train that hard on top of playing every week, it's going to take its toll. If you're going to train that hard on top of not playing, then it's half the work. Do you know what I mean? Like, you've got to do them 3 sessions every week on top of just normal training, on top of game time. And I just think so many players have just like not physically not being able to hack it. And you've got to think we were doing more murder ball, well, they call it murder ball, you know, we were doing more of that this season than last season and the season before that and the season before that, because he wanted to do better. And it's just not worked out that way. We've in fact just blown a hole in the squad availability and ended up 17th. And now we're in a position where we're just dying for players to come back, and we've had to change the system completely and bring a new man in just for some change, because he was so stubborn and so loyal to his own philosophy that wasn't going to change. And again, I respect him for that. That's his way. But it wasn't going to play out the way that he'd originally planned at the start of the season. And it's sad, but it's true.
Do you know what as well? And I've just remembered this graphic that I saved actually, just to sort of like round off the improvement, I guess you could say, under Jesse Marsh, that Leeds United. This is from Josh Hobbs from All Stats On, where he does a lot of writing for like Leeds United Live, YEP, etc. But he did the average distance of shots so far this season. To put it into context, Manchester City 15.6, right? I'm assuming that'll be in meters. It'd be in meters, right? It would be. Is that right?
I think 15.6. That's a long way out. So you're saying average shots 15 meters away from goal?
How far is that?
Because that's a long ass way.
So what's 15? So what would it be? 15.6 City being the best.
That would be near. That would be like 40 yards.
18 yards.
How many meters in
15
a yard?
yards. 15 yards, would you say?
How many meters in a yard? I'm really thick.
Yeah, it'd be yards, innit? Because you got your 18-yard box and then your 4 yards.
But 15 yards is like
40 can't be everything inside. That's huge.
Is it not?
Yeah.
Because like I'm 5'8".
That's not
like
18.
Me laid down like 3 times would be actually.
That's 18 feet in that far away. Yeah, probably 15 yards or 15 meters. There's not much in it between.
I should have known that before I asked.
Yards,
I should have known that before I mentioned it. But the point I'm making is, right, Leeds had the highest different distance at 18.1. So a lot of our shots this season on average were coming from outside of the box, obviously the 18-yard box. However, on Saturday against Leicester, we had 16 shots inside the box. But all season are on average. Do you know what I mean?
Mate, this is what I'm saying about what you were saying earlier about would we have peppered them under Bielsa. Look, the amount of times Harvey Barnes played Vardy through and Vardy just ended up at the corner flag and turning round and playing it back to Barnes, who then had to play it back to the halfway line, who then ended up to Schmeichel, and they came forward again, and then they ended up on the edge of the box again, and they did the same thing, and it ended up the same. I was like, this is so solid, there's no space. Son and Kane would not have a chance in hell here. Most players who we've played in the last few months who've absolutely peppered us in space and countered us wouldn't have a chance in hell this setup. If, however, we were playing that under Bielsa, you've not only got probably a more entertaining and rapid attack and maybe we get a couple of goals, you've then got the threat of there is that space, and we probably can see 2, 3, 4 against us as well. Whereas the other day it was, mate, like I said earlier, not only were we strong defensively, we actually created good chances, not scruffy chances, not flashpoint. It was well executed. The through ball to James in the first few minutes.
Yeah, I think the reason for that potentially is because you're saying it's not as electrifying going forward, but it was more maverick gung-ho style going forward before, where if there was 1 or 2 players there, they would be bursting through on the counter-attack by themselves. I think when you're saying it's slower, I think what it was more of is they were waiting until we had at least 4 or 5 players until we burst through on the counter-attack. So we had more options. And when you surround more men in and around the box, there's going to be a lot more chance of you getting shots off inside the box. So whilst it may have appeared a bit slower because we weren't actually going for the jugular as much, it was a bit more methodical, a bit more, as he said, he likes to use pressure, but methodical pressure, not just all over pressure. And I noticed it mainly in the pressing. Sorry to cut you off there, but usually when they had the ball at the back there, you'd see Dan James just sprinting, running every single loose ball down. There again on Saturday, we had just a flat bank of 4 there. A flat bank of 4 right at the front when they had the ball, and they were waiting, and then one person would go, the other person would suck in the pocket, and that's why they weren't cutting us open as easily, because they couldn't break the press.
It was like a 4-2-4 at times.
Yeah, and like they would literally just be a straight line there, and they'd kind of be talking like, oh, is one person going to go? They looked a little bit reluctant at times to press, a little bit reluctant at times, but.
And I think that'll come with time. Like, you're right. I kept looking for that, you know, when one player committed, the rest went. And I think at times that was a little bit disjointed. But I do believe as the weeks go on, the group of players that are starting will know we're all going at this point.
Yeah,
we're all going at that point, you know?
I remember certain points I was like, right, who's going to be first, wasn't there?
Yeah.
And it's almost like the when you just said that, then it makes you think like they're sort of stood around thinking, right, who's going to be the first one to, go here. But I don't know. Like, I don't think you can have both. Like with the Bielsa style, it was just very much you've got as much chance of scoring as you have conceding. Whereas the other day, it was just nice to actually see us.
Mate, Melier had nothing to do.
Mate, there you go.
He had literally nothing to do. At the end, I was like, yo, I'm so used to seeing Melier doing stuff.
Because
I am though, right? And
they couldn't move.
They
couldn't go anywhere. If we'd have played like that against Scum at Elland Road, that game was ending 0-0 or 1-0 either way. Because there was no.
Yeah, but that minute was worth it.
No mate, I'll still look
that
back
24 seconds
like,
he's got.
That's the best minute of my life. But and that was pure
Creme de la creme.
Mate, pure Bielsa ball that was. Like you look back and think, mate, that's how bonkers it was under him.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what
but that's freakish, man. I've never seen anything like it because you first score and then everyone's so gassed, they're buzzing.
The sheer momentum, it were like, mate, absolutely. But I can't remember.
I don't think.
Were it Fred or who were bodied on floor? Or Bruno?
No, it was Bruno. He tried to stay on floor to get it, didn't he?
And it was just, it was class. But yeah, moments like, but now it's just like, if we'd have won that 2-0, 3-0 the other day, whatever, 2-1 even, you would have to, and I know there's not many to compare it to, you've got to be saying that's one of our best performances of the season.
Against Leicester?
Yeah.
I think it was. I think you guys are being harsh when you're saying like it's boring or it's flat.
If you lose, you can't. In my opinion, you can't definitively say that's one of the best performances. If you lose,
oh no, I'm not saying it was one of the best performances.
I'm saying if we'd have won,
I think the Villa performance was a lot better. We could have peppered them about 6-0, 6-3. Yeah, we had that dodgy 10-minute spell where they scored 3 goals.
You can't, this is just how I judge performances. If you're conceding 3 goals in 10 minutes, it ain't a good performance. If you win 2-0, keep a clean sheet, and you've peppered them 16 shots to 4, then that is a good performance. And if we'd have deservedly, in my opinion, or should have, if we should have beaten them like 2-0 the other day, I'd have been like, that is one of the best performances in a long, long time.
Yeah, but I thought it was entertaining. I didn't think it was that boring. It's not the same style as Bielsa, but it was still an entertaining style. It was still high octane at times. There was still a lot of energy in the press, in the counter press, slightly more methodical, like you say. But I think to say, oh, it's slightly more boring, more tepid football, I think that's a bit harsh, especially considering it's his first game. He hasn't had them for long, so his style isn't going to be fully implemented yet. So we don't actually know what we're going to get.
No, I refrained from using the word boring at the time. I'll refrain from using it now. It wasn't boring. It was just, look, my heart wasn't beating.
Anything's going to be
slightly more cagey, maybe.
My heart
Anything's going to be boring.
My heart wasn't beating. My heart, big up cagey. No, my heart wasn't beating. And look, most games.
Well, that you need to get yourself medically checked out, mate. That's a bit scary. Too many cans of Fosters.
Well done, Cheers. Great joke, mate. Great joke.
Thanks. Been working on it all night.
But like, I'm not gonna outright call it boring, but compared to the way games have gone in the last 4 years, like I was watching Rob's Goodbye Bielsa video, and I actually trimmed a segment of it to put in that, like the video, you know, the extended one with all his all his videos in it yesterday, and he said something like the games under Bielsa. it's my ulterior motive here.
Exactly, yeah.
I just don't think Marsh can be doing this better now. But like, he said something like the games under Bielsa were like operas, because watching it, it was just like you didn't know what was going to happen. It was end to end. It was suicide.
Do you watch many operas?
Yeah.
I don't, mate. No. But I just know that operas are entertaining.
I thought they'd be more passive. I was going to say end-to-end operas.
Me personally,
I didn't expect that big rotund Italian man to walk on and start busting it out.
Me personally, if I went to
what is it with the phrases say rotund?
You know what? They were like action films. They were like action films, mate. You know. But now it's just more grounded and tactical.
I know. I get
and
it.
I'm not going to call it boring, but when you've watched us play a certain way and watched games play out a certain way for like 4 years straight, all of a sudden it's like, oh, we're just actually playing through the middle of the park and passing it back here. And
it's lost the magic, bro. I get it. No,
it's gone from bang bus to casting couch. Yeah, absolutely.
It's gone from this ain't just entertainment football. This is win points football now, and it's not arguing with that, mate. But it's different from a fan point of view, from a supporting point of view. It's like the changing speed is gonna be clear. Let's
wait, right? And I agree with you, Lewis. I do, bro. I felt it too. Let's wait till, let's say tomorrow. Leeds United are 1-0 up with 20 minutes to go. You watch the shithousing, boring tactics that Leeds United will get up to, which they never, ever will have done under Bielsa. Now, at the end of the day, points win prizes. And there have been at times where we've gone, oh, do you know what? Who can forget Forrest in the Championship when we had a player sent off and he went, fuck it, I'm going to put an attacker on. And we ended up losing 4-2 when we were drawing at the time. And you're like, should you have really done that? But know that tomorrow, say we're 1-0
that was Augustine, wasn't it?
Oh, I can't remember, mate. Honestly, I just remember.
Augustine was the 2-0 because I was at that game in the wrong end, and that was painful.
Oh yeah, of course.
That was Spain without the S.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, you're going to see that switch, which Bielsa never ever would have done. Never ever would.
Yeah, but how do we know we don't have any information to go off that he's going to shithouse park the bus? For all we know, he could go for the jugular when we're 1-0 up.
No, it's not happening, man.
I think, you know,
not at this stage in the season.
I think he's got some serious carajos, some serious cojones. I think he's going to go for it, man.
Mate, all I'll say is there was a spell the other day where it were literally only 5, maybe 10-minute spell at the start of the second half, I think, or maybe towards the end of the first half, where Leicester kind of got into it, and they had they had a couple of attacks in a row, but they looked good attacks a bit, and you thought they're getting into it here. Mate, swear to God, 10 minutes after that, we barely crossed the halfway line. And I were like, under Bielsa, mate, that they don't give a shit that we've just like been rocked a little. They're still gonna bomb forward, and everyone would be in the other half. Whereas now it's like we've been rocked a tiny bit for the first time in this game, and we've just reverted, and we ain't trying shit. We're gonna calm it down. That's where you can tell, like Joe says, if we're 1-0 up with 20 minutes to go, obviously you can say, well, you don't know that, but just based off tiny things like that, the difference is there. I think we are just playing it out safe.
Yeah.
And passing it around.
There's a great point here, like, and listen, I love Bielsa, but I get what the Crumble Man LTV is saying. He's saying, look, I'd rather have a manager who changes tactics to help us win than a stubborn one who doesn't. And it's easy now with hindsight to throw shade that way, but I understand it. And I think there's a lot to be said, even like we were touching on earlier, how Marsh is going to have a specific plan to deal with Coutinho, and that's something that Bielsa really never would have done. I believe, Marsh and the rest of the team will look at Tyrone Mings and say, whenever he's got that ball, press. That is the perfect time to press as a unit. Whereas Bielsa, it never really worked like that, But you know that they will go, look, we can cause him all sorts of problems, Jesse. They will all say, right, okay, when he gets the ball, you all peg yourself at him. See you later. And that's what will happen, And that's something that we didn't see.
You'd be there watching highlights at away games.
Well, we saw him pressing him. We saw us. We pressed the shit out of Tyrone.
No, but what I'm saying is, that of course we did do that, but we pressed the shit out of everyone.
Yeah,
I
know what you mean. There wasn't
due to a man marking system, but tomorrow that there will be specific for individuals. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm thinking, but I think it was Bielsa.
No, there will be
plan A, and this is what we're going to do.
No, look at Vardy the other day. Barnes even. Obviously, they're going to be the most creative players, and they were always trying to link up. And like I say, it just wasn't happening. Other than the goal, but there's going to be that, and again, when you've got your man marking system and it's just 1v1s against your likes of Son, when you're getting peppered 4-0, it's just they're going to thrive in space, and you lose your man and it's done and dusted, and it was. But other day it was nice to see, man. I can sit here and go, it were less entertaining in terms of just like, and if I were a neutral, put it that way, like. And because I'm Leeds, obviously watching those games did make my heart beat, because I'm panicking 1 minute and then I'm like, go on the next. Whereas this were like very much just, again, not boring but grounded. And even though I can say that, it was really good to see us defend and just be smart instead of just giving it everything every minute of the game.
Just some more stuff from the press conference. He initially started talking about Tyler Roberts and how he'd wanted to stay on the pitch. We know James is a massive fan of Tyler as well. That's true. I got really annoyed during the watch along because I felt like he was being more of a hindrance than a help, because people were passing him the
Is that
ball.
when he came on or when he were injured?
Yeah, no.
But he got injured instantly. Like,
he did there. Just.
Oh, sorry, James. I'm sorry.
Once he got injured, though, I'm like, why? Because obviously football's played at such a frenetic pace that you look up, all you see is a white shirt. You don't see there's Tyler Roberts a lot of the time. So they've just moved it into a space where that white shirt was, and Tyler couldn't move. And I was like, oh my God, we're actually been a struggle here. Anyway, we know he's injured. He's going to be out for the rest of the season. I've even seen some people on Twitter say that's probably it for him. James, do you think that could be the end or the last time we see Tyler Roberts now in a Leeds United shirt, knowing how long his injury is?
Well, first of all, I feel there's become a little bit of a misconception here. I don't. Everyone thinks I'm Tyler Roberts' #1 fan. Like, he's my favorite player.
You've got a picture of him on the wall.
That's Harrison and Klitsch, mate. That's what you're talking about. No, look, I love the guy. I love them all. You know, I just think he was being given harsh criticism, and it's unfair on him. Look, he was our last substitution. We couldn't take him back off. The second he comes on, he got injured. Before he did, actually, he was adding a little bit of energy, a little bit of pace down that right side, but then he instantly just got clobbered and injured, unfortunately. As for him being a hindrance on the side, you've got to give him the ball. If he's on the pitch, if he's taking up space, you have to give it to him. And maybe he could have adapted his game a bit more Pablo Hernandez style when he wasn't running so much, and he'd use his brain a bit more, open up his body, flick it off first time, because obviously he didn't have the capabilities to do what he wanted to do. As for whether he's done, I don't know. I think Marsh might like him. I think Marsh might like him. It all depends who we can go and get in the summer, how much money the 49ers want to put in there as to whether he's done. But I think he's still got a role to play. But what I would say is that he is still young enough and still has an exciting enough potential to, if we were going to sell a couple of players, he would be one that we could get some money for. So on that side, I think, we could see him go if we do have a plan to bring in Aronson and some other creative players to fill in that middle role. But otherwise, I still think Marsh might have something pulled up his sleeve for him.
I commend him.
And you were saying before, sorry to cut you off again, you were saying before, Lewis, about how this instant feedback could affect him. So you never know.
Well, it has, just not in the way that we talked about last week. Yeah.
Lewis, what did you make to him biting back on social media?
Who, Roberts?
Yeah. Did you not see his Instagram post?
What did he say?
Where he sort of had to go back at them ones that were calling him. You not see it?
That were mugging him off.
You carry on telling us your thoughts. I'm gonna find it and I'll put it up.
I commend him completely for staying on the pitch. Whether that was his decision or he was told to stay on or told he couldn't come off, which I very much doubt. Commend him for that, because it shows heart and like how much he just wanted to be there, even though he probably knew deep down he probably should have come off. And I saw a few tweets from like James Mooney and the players after the game, and it shows how much he's clearly important and influential behind the scenes. So fair enough there. But I thought it was done here before the injury, and I still think even more so he's done now. I wish him a speedy recovery, but does not change my opinion. Don't think he's good enough. Don't think he will be good enough. And he's got an arm around his shoulder, just for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, carried down the touchline instead of carried onto the score sheet.
Yeah, man.
But I don't know. Like
it's just not worked out for him, man, and it's nothing personal against him, because like I've just said, he clearly, the attitude isn't wrong. We saw that clearly his attitude behind the season, clearly the attitude there. Like, he's proud to be here and he wants to give it his all, and you saw how much he wanted to stay on that pitch and still tried to be involved, even though it was visible he should not have been on that pitch, and he's probably made his injury a little bit, if not like badly worse. By
do you think a loan spell could be good for him? Because he's quite a confidence player, isn't he?
Yeah,
so
I don't see what we get from loaning him out. What do we get from that? He's not.
Well, keeping him in the future. If we think he has severe, it depends how high you think his season.
If you're gonna sit here and say that players like Dallas, Ayling, Klitsch, and stuff like that ain't got a future here soon, then you can't say Roberts has got a future. Mate, he's just as much part of that dead wood, if not the most part of it. And if we are now going to move on from sentimentalism to I'd love if that.
No, but I don't think Dallas has done. I don't think Klitsch has done.
No, but I'm not saying they are. But if people are saying that now Bielsa's gone, no one's safe, and you're going to say players like that ain't good enough, then Roberts is at the bottom of that pile for me, and he has been for a long time. And again, it's nothing against him personally. He's just not proved that he's good enough. It's not worked out for him. There's been no consistency there to prove that at all.
Let me show you the post anyway. So this is what was out on his Instagram. So the bit at the bottom says, "Appreciate to all the supporters that are 100%. It doesn't go unnoticed. Praying my injury isn't too bad. The level of performance the boys gave today shows the potential this group has coming. We got this." And then obviously at the top, he said, "And to the few negative talkers, I got nothing for you. but grow up and help raise your team correctly. And then he's put respectively. So that's what he put. Now, naturally, I'm surprised you missed it, Lou. Obviously, when it got shared onto Twitter, it got a lot of quote tweets like saying the cheek of him, how dare he, and all that.
It's very risky game.
Mate,
yeah,
I
thought that as well. Like,
one, it shows he does see everything.
Yeah,
Two,
which again
shows
is
that it gets to him.
Sad. Yeah.
Three,
but every player does. Every player is human.
No, but it's again with the covering like cup ears when you score or whatever. Look, right. The facts are, you have played 20 odd games this season, and the stats do not back up the game time you've had. Same with every other season. Fact. That is not to take away from his heart or his passion or his determination or anything like that. That is not what people are questioning. It's also a case of whether that comment is to people who are atting him, giving him abuse, which I'll say time and time again, there is a difference. If it is, absolutely fair enough, because I will sit here time and time again and say there's no need for abuse whatsoever. There's a difference between constructive criticism and abuse. And I can happily sit here and say Tyler Roberts is not good enough. End of. I don't have to sit here and say Tyler Roberts, you're fucking this, you're fucking that, never put a shirt on again, blah, blah, blah. No need for that whatsoever. There's a distinct difference. And if people are giving him that week in, week out, that message, in my opinion, to those people is completely 100% warranted. Because if you are a supporter, you should support your team, or at least just shy away from giving them abuse. If your opinion is a player's not good enough, you're allowed to have that opinion. You pay your money, you're entitled to that opinion.
Yeah, but it's not like he's slipping Bielsa a brown envelope to start him every week. He's not picking the team sheet. He's getting slapped.
Mate,
he's getting thrown in the firing line.
It doesn't, of course, but it doesn't matter. The reasons why he's starting or not, whatever, the facts are he's not good enough. The stats prove it. They're there in black and white, mate. He's played over 20 games this season in a Premier League season, and he's had 2 contributions. He scored against Brentford and assisted against Chelsea. I think that's it. I might be wrong. There might be one or two more, but still nowhere near good enough. Same with last season. Even same in the Championship, mate. Like,
consistency has always been his problem. Consistency always has.
Of course. But if consistency is your problem, you don't deserve to be a Premier League player.
You raise a fair point.
And it's just, if that message is to the people giving him dogs abuse, absolutely fair enough. If, however, it's to everyone who's ever said a bad word against him, that's wrong. People are allowed. I don't think it is. I don't think it's probably not. But if it is, and it's really getting to him that much, then, that's wrong, because people are allowed to have their opinions, and people are allowed to. You've got pundits on TV who will come out and say managers and players aren't good enough. Well,
do it on the pitch, innit? I think the best way, like, in all honesty, is to do it on the pitch. I can just think back to recent history. I was just going to say, Bamford. Now, Bamford did on 2 occasions do this and this, and I let my thoughts be known, because I was like, I'm not having it, bro. You're missing, 4 chances in 5. Like, this was in the Championship, remember? And I was saying, like, you do not have a right. I come every week. I don't grief you. People on social media might, and that's fair enough. But people in this ground only sing Patrick Bamford. You do this, that's not on. And that was my opinion, yeah? Now, I can't now say a bad word against Paddy Bamford. And everything I did say, I ate my words, because the guy is nectar. And look how much we've been clamouring for him to come back.
I won't so much say you've eaten your word. I mean, there's a couple of times you might have been out of order with stuff that certain. But in terms of
after Derby, I said I never wanted to see.
I know that's what I'm referring to. But I didn't.
Is that the 1-1 Derby?
No, when we lost.
No, when we lost it.
Because when I was there, I saw people literally having a physical fight in the toilet after. It was when we drew, and he missed. I think it was him or Klitsch missed the penalty. No, Klitsch missed the penalty.
Oh, yeah.
And we drew 1-1. But Bamford got the penalty. He was like, I'm sick of it. He's fucking shit, pal. And then he pushed him into the urinal.
Those at the time, I've always backed Bamford, but obviously there's been times where I've been like, you should be scoring that. And he will have known he should be scoring that. It's not a case of, again, there's this difference between criticism and like reviewing and abuse. Like, if I say you should be scoring that, Bamford, he knows that. He'll be saying that to himself to drive home. I should have scored that. I should have scored that. I should have scored that. If, however, you're saying don't wear a fucking Leeds shirt again, obviously, heat of the moment, now you have eaten those words. But if you've ever been saying, like, at the time, he should have scored that, he should have scored that, he should have scored, you ain't eating those words, mate, because at the time it's true, and it still stands to be true. You can watch those highlights back and still think now, you should be scoring that. Obviously, he's done his talking on the pitch, and he's improved immensely, and I'm so happy for him. I'm so happy for us. But, you know...
Dude played for England, man. How mad's that?
You know, I know, man.
But it's actually, I was talking to Joe about it before, about how his massive improvement came in his first year back in the Prem, because he scored more goals then than he did in the Championship. Of course, no crowd. And like we were talking about with the cup in the years and stuff, do you think he's someone who performs better off the back of a crowd or someone who performs better with no pressure?
I don't think, honestly, in retrospect, and we were saying this before the season even started, would players like Bamford perform worse without the crowd, with the crowd, because people sort of shout stuff and blah blah blah? I think the pressure is immensely different from what it was in the Championship. He was the front man. He was the man who had to score those goals to get us back to where we needed to be. That pressure with 35,000 people in that ground will have been immense. And if it's not going your way, he'll have felt that every single time. Whereas now, especially last season, whether there were a crowd there or not, we were flying, mate. We were, climbing 10th, 9th, higher than that at one point. And it's like, he were having fun. He were bagging goals for fun. It was like, there were no pressure. It was just like, well, we're here. We ain't got naught to lose. Fuck it. I'll strike with my left foot. I'll strike with my right. I'll have long distance strikes. I'd have never done this in Championship, but because there's nothing riding on me now, okay, I'm just going to do it. And it paid off, mate. It showed the ability were there, showed how good he was. And if he'd have played the season fit every game, I truly believe that the crowd wouldn't have had an effect on him if things were going as well as last season. If, however, he's playing week in, week out and he's missing chances and we're 17th, of course. But he's not, and he hasn't been. So we can't say that. But all I'm saying,
mate, the guy came back against Brentford and scored.
Yeah. So like, if
he knows where the onion bag
all I'm saying is, if this season had have gone how last season went with the crowd in, and he's still like he's playing every week, I don't think the crowd affects his mood. I think it's just the pressure.
Another big plus as well. Liam Cooper, Calvin Phillips, both look like they're going to be ready after the international break. I had a look. I was like, international break? I didn't even realise there was still one. But there's one March, end of March, 26, I think it is. So we play Villa, Norwich, then we're away at Wolves, and then we're off. We're off for a week, 10 days, whatever it normally is. But James, that's going to be huge, isn't it? When we get, then, we'd have, I think, what's 11 minus 3? 8? 8. We'd have 8 games left at that point.
The maths have been class in this stream.
Exactly. Mate, maths isn't my strong point. But 8 games left, and you then have the return of Cooper and Calvin Phillips. Massive.
Yeah. Well, I think Calvin Phillips for sure. Calvin Phillips is the key. He is the crown in the jewel. He is the only person that can stop the counter press. He is the slickest, quickest, most energetic footballer. I compare him to Kante. A lot of people try and mug me off. He is like Kante, a bit more wedge and better on the ball. I think it's actually a disservice to call him the Yorkshire Pirlo. Pirlo is nothing more than the Italian Calvin Phillips. Phillips is, you can't understate how much we've been missing him. Defensively, his IQ, he's so smart. People just think, he's a physical, he's a workhorse. He is so smart. He's in the right place at the right time, making those vital interceptions. And like people say about Mesut Ozil, he makes people around him better. He makes the whole team more of a cohesive unit. And with Phillips being back, that's the only confidence I can get, especially with that break in there to get big players back. Huh? Well, Cooper's big. Cooper's big, but Phillips is bigger. Cooper, it's interesting. Would you start him if you have Lorente, Koch? Do you put Cooper in there? Is Cooper actually very underrated? because since losing Cooper, things have gone very, very pear-shaped.
Yeah.
And I know he was very mistake-prone, and sometimes you look at him and he looked like a plank of wood. He had absolutely no agility to him. And every time he was under a bit of pressure, he crumbled at the seams. But is he so much of a leader that we lack that? I don't know. It'd be interesting to see how he gets back in there. But I'll ask you guys a question. If we have all 4 of them fit, what do you do?
What, every centre-back fit?
Yeah. Llorente,
Strike and Llorente.
Strike Llorente. So Cooper and Koch, nowhere near.
No. I will say, and I've always said, Llorente and Strike's our best centre-back partnership. Mate,
more of a Koch and Strike guy myself. But
mate, Llorente come back from injury last season.
For me.
Would you, yeah?
Cooper.
Yeah.
Well, Llorente, I am on
Strouk's not there yet, man. Strouk's amazing, but he's dropped over the last few weeks, personally, I think.
What, so you saying Llorente and Coops?
I mean, I don't know why Koch's not playing there, to be honest. I don't know why
he played in the You're going to drop Llorente?
I don't know, bro. This is what I'm saying. I've not seen enough of
Llorente come back from injury February last season, and we picked up the second most points in the league behind Liverpool. They picked up 27, we picked up 23, or we picked up 27, they picked up 31. I don't know. I just know there was a 4-point difference. But that's since him coming back, and I'm pretty sure most were with him and Strike. And I say those two are our best centre-back partnership. Now, that's not to take away from... Did he go the wrong way out of his bedroom? That's not to take away from Coop's like leadership or his defensive quality or anything like that. I'm just saying, based on what I've seen in the 2 Premier League seasons, he's improved the back line and earned us the most points, clean sheets, whatever you want to say, since his return.
Yeah, it's been rubbish this season, though.
I want to say rubbish. I think rubbish is harsh. I think he's had a lot of...
They've all been rubbish, bro.
There's been a lot of change in that back line.
They've all been rubbish.
14 separate centre-back partnerships this season.
They've all been rubbish, though, Lou.
Yeah.
Who's been good?
True. You can't really say like anyone's had a good season.
No, they haven't, have they? And it's just one of them, innit? It's one of them.
But I'm not making excuses for him, or maybe I am, whatever. But 14 different centre-back partners.
Yeah, no, of course.
That constantly changing. It's like, where do you get your rhythm from, man? Where do you get the solidarity and the system going? Like, you know what I mean? It's just one of them. It's all taking its toll.
Good man. Right, so we have done over an hour. Yeah, don't worry about it, bro. We have done over an hour. Forshaw, Llorente, both back fit, right? I want to know your lineups, boys. This is what I've gone with. This is what my preferred lineup will be. Okay, I have gone for Meslier in goal, Luke Ayling at right back. If we had another right back and this was a futurist time, I would switch him. It's just where I'm at right now. I have gone with Llorente and Pascal. I've gone Firpo at left back. I've gone for a double pivot with Matthias Klick and Adam Forshaw. The 2 wingers, if you can call them that, under the Jesse Marsh system are Raf and Harrison. And up front, I've gone with Rodrigo and Joffe, just because we know Jesse likes to rotate. I would like to see some fresh bodies in there. I'd like to see Forshaw in there. I want to see Joffe start a game. That would be my preferred lineup. Does anyone want to give us theirs?
I'd agree with that completely, other than either James for Harrison or James for Joffe. And I think realistically that probably will be the lineup.
With James for
Joffe.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the main man, Meslier, is for sure going to be in there. The back 4, Koch, Strike, Ayling, Firpo. I think Firpo I'm really excited to see. Firpo, I think, could do big things. I know he had a rough patch. He's coming back into it. Again, the midfield, like you said, I think Forshaw has to start in there for me. Klitsch, it'll be interesting to see how he defends against a Coutinho, who's going to be in the pocket a lot. Does he have the defensive capabilities to fix that? But I think for his offensive output, I think he's got to be in there. Again, the same thing. I drop Rodrigo. I know I love Rodrigo, but rotation and all of that, save his legs. I take Rodrigo out, James and Joffrey up front, and then obviously Rafinha and Harrison.
I could get behind
and
that.
then Bamford may be on for Gelhardt in the second half.
Yeah. There's no Dallas. There's no Dallas in there.
No Dallas, but again, rotation. I mean, like I say, it depends how we want to set up. I could easily swap Klitsch out for Dallas.
Yeah, and that's something that I looked at. I did think Klitsch did really well, but I would like to see Elland back at right back for this game. Let's have some score predictions then. I'm not at the game tomorrow. I'm good, but it's one of them. I can't make the game.
Oh.
Yeah, it's all about travel and timings and uni, and my head's about to fall off. I'm so busy, bro. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to put it back on the exchange. However, normally when that happens, we normally get a positive result and I miss a memorable night. So, we might be all right. But yeah, I'll be there for Norwich, which, hopefully will be in a bit of a run there. But yeah, so I'm going to go for 2-1 Leeds United. I went for that last time. I'll go for it again. I don't see us having these high-scoring games. I don't think it'll be like the last fixture under Bielsa when it was 3-3. I'm going to go 2-1 Leeds. We need a win. Lewis?
I think 1-0.
Cool.
I'm liking the sound of that. I think there's going to be more goals. And what did I tell you about the clean sheets? Love a clean sheet. Just moved back to Manchester, like I said, silky clean, fresh out of the dryer. Nothing quite like it. And tomorrow night, you're damn right, a clean sheet's happening. If you think we're conceding goals, you've gone Doolally. I'm afraid to tell you, clean sheet in the bag. I mean, unfortunate, just another lapse of concentration against Leicester to concede. Fill them up with Adderall at the back. Make sure they're nice and focused, and clean sheet. Going for a 3-0. I'm going for it's going to be a shock. It's going to be a march.
Like West Brom style.
Like not quite West Brom style. Not quite West Brom, because that could have been 6 or 7.
I had to just Google Adderall. I'm like, what?
Oh, James, this is a random. I swear we have the same bedding.
Do we? Those are covers. Yeah, maybe.
Mate, I'm gonna grab it. I swear to God.
It could be, yeah. Nice and clean, like I said. Clean sheet for the Leeds fans. Clean sheet for the Leeds. Oh my God, it is. Hey, well, great minds think alike. Great minds think alike.
Oh, dear me.
Well, I'd show you my bedding, but it's just Leeds United bedding. That's I joke, of course.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. I've got Leeds bedding in my other house. What are you trying to say,
there you
fella?
go. Not
wrong with it.
Trying to say I'm a virgin, huh? I mean, you're not wrong, but
I mean, your nickname's Jizz. I mean, come on.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
none of it on the bed, like I said, though. Nice and clean.
Let's stop.
You guys bring it up, not me.
Right. So we've done an hour and 18 minutes. Well, some of us have done an hour and 18 minutes. Some of us were late after eating pizza.
Yeah, I'm on an empty stomach, mate. That's all I'm saying.
But listen, thank you as always for watching the midweek fix. Lucy will be back with us soon. She assures me. We have a massive week of football. Hopefully next Wednesday when we get back together, we'll be talking about 6 points, and that'd be huge, because then you're thinking we might just be out of it. So fingers crossed we're not signing next week.
Can we
game over?
Can we quickly touch on Everton?
If you want to, yeah.
Especially after Spurs, everyone's cussing us up after getting cruised by Spurs. They're in cruise control.
I said last week, I don't think they're out of it, and then their fixtures, mate. Oh, I would not want to be them. And,
they got the games in hand. That's the thing. They got the games in hand.
Points deduction looming, and people saying, "Oh, that won't be till next season." I'm like, mate, but if it's there in their minds, and it's like that's looming over the fixtures they've got coming up, the points they've gained, where they are in the league, Like they're below a side who've had more or less half a squad all season. That's bad. You've got Neville on Sky, or I don't know if it was Neville. I don't know who said it actually, saying they have got right now a championship back four. If they're hearing stuff like that, that ain't confidence, mate. And I don't know. They're in serious bother, man.
Coleman, Keane. It's not great, but listen, we need to do our business. We need to do our business.
Yeah, damn right. Yeah.
And once we've done our business, I can start to rejoice in the Frank Lampard stuff. Because my brother phoned me. This is what I'm saying about today. My brother phoned me, and he was like, "Oh, what about Frank Lampard and that?" And I said, "I know, mate." I said, "We've been telling everyone this." I said, "I can't enjoy it yet, though."
It's like we need closure, innit? It's really weird.
Yeah.
It's like the fact he did that to us, and it's like, but we got promoted, and like we he got sacked, but it's not enough. Yeah. It's like we need to see him just.
Oh, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't wish ill on any man. I don't wish ill on any.
Oh man, I wish ill on him. Don't worry about
that. He's a grade A twat. Like,
the views are not shared across here. I think he's a lovely chap. I don't wish ill. I want Everton to get relegated. Don't get me wrong. I want that Premier League spot.
I don't want Everton to get Everton. I just want him to just like.
I want him to go so that we can say we were right. Lampard's rubbish, and now he'll go probably stop managing and just rock up at BT. Because Lampard doesn't go to a scenario where he's managing lower leagues. He doesn't. He just goes, "Do you know what? I'm probably going to leave it there." He just goes and works in BT or whatever. A bit like Gary Neville did.
When he first started, I was like, I hope he does well. And then everything that happened, I wish. I wish the absolute
Did you hear what he said about it though on the overlap about the Bielsa thing when he was asked about it by Neville, and he basically said I wasn't that mad about it. I was kind of half mad, but the squad were behind me. Obviously, I couldn't come out to the media and be like, well, I'm kind of mad, but I'm not really.
That was the worst thing about it. I know we're going off a little tangent here, but you probably want to go, Joe. But he purposely blew that out of proportion, and he wasn't even that bothered.
He was talking about bolt cutters. And
there was no players or binoculars, man. What are you doing, man? He come out and said that. He said he broke into the training facility. He didn't. He was stood watching. And it's just
I will rejoice. It'll have come full circle if Leeds send Everton down and Lampard has to go and say, I got relegated. And we can say, look, even when Bielsa's not here, he's still doing you over.
But
but listen, I need to go because I've got a whole chapter to read and to write about. So
enjoy
in the morning. So thank you as always for watching. Listen, everyone, smash a like on this video.
My brother.
Subscribe to my channel. We're so close to 9K. That would be huge if we could
get him up there.
Yes, please
hit
do.
That damn button hit, man.
We've also
you never smashed
for 10K.
We're gonna smash
9K.
Their
10K after that. Yeah, exactly. But do of course subscribe to the lads' channels as well. Both are in the description. Both killing the game. So please do subscribe, and we will see you next week. And I promise we'll be on time next week. Won't we, Lou?
Yeah.
Good man. Right, we will leave it there.